Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. And boy, oh boy, it wouldn't be a week in comics without a little bit of drama. This time of the AI art variety. DC Comics and Batman artist Andrea Sorrentino being accused of using AI art to do the interiors of Batman 143. Ex-user James DeLeach put out the initial story, and this thing has caught like wildfire. So in this video, I'm going to go over the kind of accusation here, talk a little bit about this kind of ongoing, I guess, scandal, if you'll call it that. And then also, in the Spawn universe, we also have a bit of AI controversy being exposed by a friend of the YouTube here, Bronze Age Nerd, a fan contest using AI art and actually winning. It seems as though the AI snowball has been picking up more and more steam, and I have a feeling that we're going to get more and more of this AI adoption in the future. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Helps support the channel, doing those things. Also, Sanity officially launching March 19th, next week. I didn't use any AI art. Maybe I should have. I would have been able to launch the Kickstarter a lot sooner if I actually used AI art. If you guys want to support the project, go give the pre-launch page a follow, link in the description. I think you guys will enjoy it because the fingers of my characters actually look pretty good, unlike the ones in Batman 143. Well, let's go through James's post right here. I'll take you kind of through this and we can kind of look together and see if there's actually any merit to these accusations. So James writes, now that I've read all the issues of Batman that Andre Sorrentino contributed to, I feel like there's a pretty strong case that AI art is being used. I'd love to be wrong about this, especially as the run has been so great, but it's hard to avoid. I'll explain in this thread. He goes on to say, first off, there are unusual telltale signs, strange anatomy, errors a human is unlikely to make, the weird hands, Joker being insanely ripped in one panel and wasting away in another, his wandering nipples. Well, as you guys can see right here, these are the hands in which were drawn for the Joker. You can see his right hand here and then his left hand here. And usually one of the telltale signs that someone is actually using AI art is when you look at the hands. I think AI at this current moment in time has a hard time doing kind of the fine intricacies of fingers. Usually they kind of look, crisscross like this and decrepit, and the fingers are touching each other. So it's always a little bit clunky. It's always a little bit awkward. Sometimes you'll notice in AI art, even though the figure itself looks incredible, it might render a hand with like 6 fingers on it, or it might render a hand with 2 thumbs. And usually, AI artists just kind of try to sweep those things under the rug and hope nobody actually sees them. And then, Joker's abs right here, looking like a swimsuit model. He's got the 6-pack abs right here as he is kind of mounted on this, I guess, cross or whatever. And then in the next panel here, you can see that he's sort of drawn like he doesn't have a 6-pack. So it's kind of a little bit weird that, usually you would have a certain kind of character defined in a certain kind of art style, and you would assume that that character would at least kind of match a little bit. But if he's using AI, this would sort of explain why, from panel to panel, you don't get the same sort of consistency that you would if an artist was doing it by themselves. Secondly, there's the style which Sorrentino doesn't appear to have used before outside of a couple of Instagram posts. His work is very distinctive, heavily photo reference, high contrast lighting. This is quite a departure from that. Not enough on its own, but telling. The shift in styles becomes more suspicious when you note there seem to be additions in a much more basic brush. Look at the repetition in shape on the large black stroke in the first image, the daubs of red in the second and third. If you're actually painting these, why skimp here? So I guess what James is getting at here is that, if you're looking at the Catwoman and the brush strokes of how this figure is drawn compared to later on the brush strokes here, it feels like this has a little more care and contour and craft than the blood right here. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like that one might be a little bit harder to figure out if that's actually the case, because there's nothing to suggest that an artist might get a little bit lazy, in certain panels, might spend a little more time on certain pages versus others. So I don't know, maybe I'm missing something there. You guys can kind of let me know. This image in particular feels like a prompt that's been modified to look Jokerish. Why the washboard abs, the ripped jeans, and sneakers hardly screams Joker. Smart move hiding his hands, though. Yeah, I mean, this seems like it could be an AI art piece. It kind of has that vibe. I mean, it's hard to really know. I will say that the jeans and the shoes do look a little I don't know if you want to call it like copy and pasted on. You would think that like an AI model would do something like that in rendering a picture where things don't quite seem like they should go together in that way. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Another thing that stands out is how low resolution the painted panels are compared to the rest of the art. Look at the pixelation and JPEG artifices compared to the smooth speech bubbles and non-painted art. I mean, do we think that that's low resolution compared to this? It could be. It's a little bit hard to say. I mean, if he's doing an oil canvas painting, what size is he actually doing? I mean, maybe he's doing it on like on a flash card or something like that, that sort of size. So when he scans it in, it only has a certain amount of resolution to begin with. Like if you guys have ever gone to a comic book show and had, an artist do like a sketch card for you or whatever, right? Like the resolution is going to be based on the size in which the piece is drawn. So I don't know. That one's hard to say. Here's a good example of seemingly carefully painted art being modified in pretty rudimentary fashion, presumably because it didn't fit the intended purpose. The sharp outlines around the cut and pasted hair in comparison, the brush strokes around it and repeated elements. So you guys can see right here, brush strokes on this hair and then like a copy paste here. Does that seem like it would be AI, or is it possible that, they just have to digitally fix mess ups that an artist would actually make? Again, sort of hard to say. AI is useful for a lot of things. There are medical applications, things that make our lives smoother. Even photo restoration can be okay if overdone. It's not all bad, but generative AI art is soulless plagiarism. Keep it out of comics at DC Official. James kind of goes on to talk a little bit about, possible tracing that's going on and, some other examples of, AI tools being able to generate images that look like they're coming from Batman 143. But pretty interesting right there. I mean, a big accusation against, the Eisner-winning comic artists here. And DC apparently is now looking into this because they themselves claim to have a policy that they do not use AI art in their comic books. But I don't know, guys. I think that this is going to continue to be a big thing in comic books. And frankly, I think more and more companies and artists are just going to continue to use it. The sort of the floodgates have been opened. Pandora's box has been opened on this thing, and AI is just going to be too powerful a tool to compete against. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that the customer actually cares about is if they're going to be entertained. I mean, I know that there's a lot of you guys and a lot of people that may want to take a stand against AI art and may want to support, the artists out there in the community that are actually doing it, sort of quote unquote the right way. But honestly, I think that the majority of comic book readers are not really going to think too much about that. I mean, how many people out there just sort of read Batman and don't even know the creators that are working on it? I would suspect that it's most people who read Batman don't know that this book is drawn by Sorrentino, or they don't know the intricacies of the pipeline of comic books, and really they only care about the story and the characters. And so that's why I think that AI is going to continue to be a thing, because it just streamlines the entire process. It makes it so much faster, and publishers, all they care about is speed, getting out the product. I mean, this is the world that we live in everything, right? Like even on YouTube here, like it's quantity over quality in most fields nowadays. Attention is the currency. Everybody just wants to put things out. I mean, how many videos do you guys see out there that are using AI, auto captions? How many shorts out there do you see are AI generated? They're all of them. I mean, if you guys don't know, you see all those podcast things where two people talking and then the AI prompt is over it. Like there's a very specific AI prompt that comes from Opus Clip that everybody is using, and everybody's using it because it's literally like plug and play. You take your video, you enter it into the AI machine, and then 5 minutes later outputs, a perfect short already ready for posting. This is just where the world is going. Even in the fan art world, which leads us to the next story here, coming out of the Bronze Age Nerd Instagram. Shout out to Bronze Age Nerd. He had this post right here that said, one of the McFarlane Spawn cover contest winners is just using AI. And as you guys can see, this is actually the machine thing, which again, I forget the name of it. I think it's called maybe Hive or something like that, where you can put an image into this sort of prompt thing, and it'll tell you, 97% of this image is AI generated. So this is something that actually detects that. Now, whether or not it's actually a perfect system, nobody really knows, but I'm going to assume that it actually can tell. Either way, we carry on with the artist uses AI hashtags in their profile and Hive AI detection seems to convert it. Yeah, Hive AI is what it's called. So Bronze Age Nerd says, I know others have already noticed this, but I was out for the day and had to comment on this. I really want to see what the artists Robot 9000 and Todd McFarlane have to say about this. I hope it was an oversight, or if the cover was actually drawn by a human, we get proof of that drawing. The whole comic community will be watching. Now, forgive me if I don't know the full context of the story, but I do believe that this was a fan art contest and the winner was going to be put on a Spawn cover. And the one that was actually selected is this one that you guys see right here, which apparently was AI generated, and then Bronze Age Nerd actually called him out right there. And as you guys can see from the artist profile, Robot 9000, he does have the hashtag AI artist. So Bronze Age Nerd said, hey man, if you're going to like the post, can you please comment about it? Can you confirm if you use AI for the piece? And then he ended up getting blocked by him. And Robot said, I find it amusing that you have nothing better to do than F with me. Anyway, good day, bro. All I have to say is try harder if your entry didn't work out. I don't have to prove S to you or anyone about my artistry. Bronze Age Nerd then comments that he said, I have nothing better to do than worry about the integrity of the art used in major comic books in the industry. If you're legit, then you would be happy to prove so. Maybe try hiding your AI Midjourney tags if you're saying you don't use those tools. I didn't enter the contest. If you have anything you decide you want to reveal about your process, hit me up. I'd give you the benefit of the doubt if you can offer any evidence and platform to speak your side of the story. That goes for me as well. If there's any artists out there that want to have a big conversation about AI art in the industry, maybe we can do a live stream, talk about it, talk about the pros and cons of all this sort of stuff. But either way, I bring up these stories because they, sort of happen back to back. And I do think that this is going to be more and more prevalent throughout our industry and certainly throughout, the coming years. I mean, even in my prediction video of 2024, I got to pat myself on the back a little bit. Here in number 9, AI art acceptance. I mean, I go on to explain that I think eventually it's going to be more of an AI art adoption where people just sort of accept that this is what's happening. And I think that we're just going to have to live with that. I think what would be best for the industry is, to have the transparency. If Sorrentino uses AI art for this Batman comic book, I mean, he should just say it. He should just say, hey, Batman 143, I drew half of it and I used AI art, for the other half. And then, the customer can decide whether or not they want to support that. I think the biggest thing with AI art is sort of the opaque nature in which artists are using it. I think that they probably feel some sort of shame or guilt if they're using AI art. And, as they should, because at this moment in time, it is definitely frowned upon. But I think if people start to sort of wear it on their sleeve, like, yeah, I'm an AI artist, I did the Spawn cover, I used AI to make it, and yeah, don't buy it if you don't like it. I think that that's probably the mentality that people are going to have to adopt, and I think that's probably the transparency that we will need. And, I'm just someone who's not of the camp that AI art is something that we can stop. I think that it's an inevitability at this point that AI art sort of takes over the industry, which I know is a little bit sad and depressing, but what are you going to do, guys? I mean, what are you going to do? This is the nature of technology. But until then, we'll make comic books by hand, very, very slowly. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you guys think about these AI art situations? How do you guys feel about AI art in general? Should we have more discussions about it in the future? Go follow the pre-launch page, launching 3/19 next week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you all in the next video.